Good morning, everyone. We've got a little bit of a crowded schedule today. First up, I have with me Tanya Sabon-Burke here and Simone Weekly-Hay here representing its accountability for children in education, but also the group Square Peg Round Hole. These groups have some significant concerns around the way the Education Department deals with a range of issues, all the way from the most extreme issues of children who commit sexual offences on other children, through to children who have various issues that require support in the school, and that is not dealt with properly. My colleague, the Honourable Nick Duran, will introduce Tanya and Simon, and then they will give some comments. Libby Madam, my excellent colleague, Deputy Leader of the Liberal Party, is here to talk about the health matters. I will then come back and deal with any other issues of the day. First up, I see that the government have announced, or at least the Housing Minister has announced, spot purchasing of homes for homeless people. This is a government that have had a number of proposals around different ways of dealing with homelessness. You would all remember Common Ground. Where is it? Still no word as to when that facility is going to be made available. Look, we obviously support any initiative to deal with helping people who are homeless, and particularly the rough sleepers, which is what the program is targeted against. And it's important in that program that the government doesn't just shift an issue to somewhere else. People who are rough sleepers typically have other serious health issues that need support. It's no good just to buy a home and move someone away from the city. The government needs to provide all of the wraparound services that are absolutely critical to help those people get back on their feet. I note the government today, the Police Minister, Minister Papalia, has announced the first round of retrieving weapons from criminals under the new powers that the police have. Look, we obviously welcome guns being removed from the hands of criminals, and also welcome criminals not being able to readily access ammunition. One thing we've been very clear about this all the way along is we don't want to see this expanded to targeting legitimate gun users. The great majority of gun users are honest, law-abiding citizens, but quite clearly people who are convicted serious criminals shouldn't have weapons and shouldn't have access to ammunition. I'll now hand over to the Honourable Nick Duran to introduce Tanya and so on.
Thanks, David. This week has been very revealing with respect to the child protection system in Western Australia. We started the week with the government looking to allow up to 7 Western Australians to continue to be able to work with children despite the fact that they are known to government as having committed serious offences against children. The government was unwilling to budge on that. It's pleasing that at this stage the government are making noises that they are prepared to now move an amendment to fix this untenable situation. Consider for a moment a scenario where a Western Australian is currently working with children and has committed serious sexual offences against a child. That situation is untenable. That loophole needed to be fixed, and it is only because of the persistent questions from the opposition that it appears this may now be done. This, of course, is not the end of the matter. We now know that there are 3 Western Australian children that have literally gone missing. These are not children whose whereabouts are known or that they remain in contact with the child protection system. They are children that are literally missing and are with police. The opposition is concerned that there is not a sense of urgency within government with regards to these missing children. These missing children need to be treated as an emergency. That is not apparent from this government. It's not apparent from the Minister for Child Protection or the Minister for Police. And the opposition is calling on the government to treat this situation as an emergency. And of course, as we now turn to the education system, it has been repeatedly the case that this government allows known attackers to remain in the same schools as their victims. The opposition has called this out repeatedly. The most recent answer to Parliament indicates that one child has been in the same school for 8 consecutive terms. This is an untenable situation, and I'm grateful that we have concerned parents with us here today who want to speak more about this.
You go, Tanya.
Oh,
There you
okay.
go. Yep.
Thank you. So I'm from ACE today, and we represent all of these bags and all of these stories that are on the steps. We're really after some accountability in the education department. Personally, my son was failed by the public education system, and he was withdrawn from school in September last year. He has not attended a public school since then. We've been lucky to find a school that is supportive of him now with his needs and his recent diagnosis of disabilities. What we're after is some transparency across the education department and an independent body that enables, identifying reports and statistics on what's actually happening in the schools, so that we can, these people can feel heard, and that it's transparent.
Hi, I'm
Might
Simone
move closer forward.
Simone Wheatley-Hay, and I'm from a group called Square Peg Round Hole WA. It's a group that's been started, part of a national group for grassroots advocacy towards inclusive education. Many of us are parents of or neurodivergent people ourselves, and we're asking the Australian government, specifically the West Australian government and the Department of Education, to shift towards a human rights perspective in education. So that means complying with their international human rights legislations, equal opportunity, disability discrimination, and all the other sort of legislation and statutes that apply to make sure that every single child is entitled to and receives a safe, supported and appropriate quality and inclusive education. Thank you.
Yeah, did you have any questions for Tanya and Simone? Or?
Do you maybe just want to go into more detail about your own specific situations?
Sure, absolutely. I'm a parent of two neurodivergent children, one of whom is floating around over there somewhere, both of whom have tags on the steps. I started out self-advocating for my own children beginning in 2020. I mean, as a parent of autistic children, you advocate from the second you walk in the door. But we saw a serious rise in the seriousness of the issues and the significance of the issues. And I approached the department, I approached the school, I approached the minister, and I approached Premier McGowan. No one listened, and I've somehow had to take it to a systemic political protest before they even listened to our stories in the first place. Today is not about me or about us as individuals and families. It's about the many, many tags that have been placed on these steps. There's a long history in Western Australia of families, of children, of victims, of survivors being silenced. These stories, we're hoping we've created a space where they're finally able to be shared and where people are held accountable for issues that could have been prevented. Thank you.
Yep.
Well, the issue of homeless, I mean, you said you welcomed it, but you're saying there's flaws in this?
Well, look, we don't know when they're going to do it, and look at Common Ground. How many announcements? I lost count of the number of times that the government announced Common Ground facility, which was going to help deal with homelessness. Now they say they're going to purchase 20 homes. But look, just putting a home, or at least a rough sleeper, into a home isn't going to deal with the issue. There are complex reasons why people are rough sleepers, and many of those reasons involve serious health issues. If you move people into those homes without all of the wraparound services, comprehensive wraparound services, it'll likely fail. So I'm looking for the government, one, announce a very clear timetable for the establishment of these homes, and two, announce how they're going to provide additional support for those people that move into the homes.
So you have a fair degree of scepticism about the announcement?
I'm extremely sceptical, Jeff, about their ability to execute. This is a government that is really superb on announcements and absolutely appalling on execution.
In regards to the government's new firearm prohibition orders, do you think they go too far?
No, look, I think in terms of the application, criminals shouldn't have, people who are serious convicted criminals shouldn't have guns, they shouldn't be able to buy ammunition. So that is not my concern. My concern is around the potential application of the laws to law-abiding citizens. Now, the police commissioner has said that they're going to apply these laws prudently. I hope that's the case. But clearly taking guns off serious criminals is a very important thing to do. Look, in fact, the police commissioner already had the power to do that for people who are convicted criminals. If they're not of good character, they could remove the licence in any case. But good to see this change, and if that helps remove guns from criminals, good.
The Premier has ruled out raising the age of criminal responsibility to 14 under any circumstances. What's your stance on raising the age to 14?
Look, I'd really need to talk to people who are experts in that area. I think the Premier's point is that even children that young can commit extremely serious offences, and that option provides options to help protect communities. But look, I'll be honest, I'm not an expert in that area.
But that's bleedingly obvious, isn't it? That children that young do commit very serious offences.
Yes.
And that gives them the ability to get them into detention or get them into
to remove them from the community.
Yeah, and that's a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'm not challenging it, Jeff. I'm just not, I'm not an expert on all of the aspects of that particular issue, but absolutely, it's important. There are two aspects to this. You must protect communities, but equally, you must rehabilitate these children. You can't have these children going on to adult prison. As you would know, the majority of these kids end up in the adult prison system, and that's just heartbreaking.